All right. I am Akua Lezli Hope speaking to you from the ancestral land of the Onondaga, also known as the Seneca, keepers of the Western Door in the southern Finger Lakes region of New York State. I pay homage to the Seneca, past, present, and future, and to my own ancestors by whose grace I exist and am sustained. The series was made possible in part by poets and writers with public funds from the New York State Council on the Arts. This year, the statewide Community Re-Grant Program, a re-grant program of the New York State Council on the Arts, with support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature, and administered by the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes, enables us to be here. Thank you. This series was inaugurated in September 2020, and it seeks to remediate the lack of presentations of speculative poetry by its living creators. Thus far, we've presented about 50 hour-long events, including 60 plus poet readings. Let me tell you a bit about speculative poetry. Ancient of days, older than the flood, the poetry of possibilities, it centers the imagined as real. The first recorded human literature was speculative verse. Gilgamesh, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Iliad and Odyssey, and Beowulf are ancient examples of speculative poetry. Speculative poetry includes alternate history, apocalyptic astropoetry, cryptids, cyberpunk, dystopian, fabulism, fairy tales, fantasy, folklore, futurism, horror, magic, monsters, mythology, occult, paranormal, post-apocalyptic, robots, romantasy, science fiction, shifters, supernatural, sword and sorcery, sword and soul, steampunk, time travel, utopian, and weird. It takes all poetic forms plus one of its own called sci-fi coup. From nursery rhymes to Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, from Puff the Magic Dragon to Zombie Jamboree, we've all recited and sung speculative poetry. Now let's say a bit about the occasion. Disability Pride Month occurs worldwide. It originated in the United States to commemorate the passing of the landmark ADA in July 1990. Disabled people make up 15% of the world's population, representing all ages, races, ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, religions, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Diversity Pride Month seeks to change the way people think about and define disability, to end the stigma of disability, and to raise awareness of the challenges the disabled people face daily for access and equality. Disability Pride Month celebrates people with disabilities, their identities, their culture, and their contributions to society. I'll now introduce the first poet for this evening. Jean C. Mannone has poems in Windhover, North Dakota Quarterly, Poetry South, Baltimore Review, and others. He's won a Dwarf Stars Award, a Horror Writers Association Scholarship, and a Jean Ritchie Fellowship in Appalachian Literature. He served as the celebrity judge for the National Federation of State Poetry Societies. His full-length collections are Disabled Monsters and Flux Lines, both from Linnet's Wings Press. Weatherford Award nominee Song of the Mountains from Middle Creek Publishing, Sacred Flute from Iris Press, and Dark Wind, Dark Water, a novella-length horror fiction collection forthcoming from Mind's Eye Publishing. He edits poetry for Abyss and Apex and Silver Blade. A professor of physics, he recently taught mathematics and creative writing in a Tennessee magnet high school. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction and getting my timer set so I don't go nuts on it. But thank you for having me tonight. And I'm just going to jump right into it. I want to share screen so you can see what I read. And okay, it should be large enough, but if somebody tells me that it isn't, I can make it a little bigger. Um, But anyway, I want to start by saying that that most of my disability poetry is towards the mental health area because that's one thing that affects me personally. And so anyway, I'm going to start by reading a poem that was inspired by one of the old fantasy stories, Beauty and the Beast, and there was a prompt in Enchanted Conversation that said, "Well, what's the marriage, the relationship like after I think it was 50 years?" And so that's the background for that. And I was actually dating someone at the time that I wrote this who had something called affective disorder, which is kind of like the worst of bipolar and schizophrenia put together. And so anyway, this is it. Affective disenchantment. Uh, and the quote from Beauty and the Beast, "Be so kind and bring me a rose." When I met you in the dawn, I forced my intrepid monster inside to hide. Your smiles trumped my fears and held my beast in dark recesses. You found me beneath the grotesque and my uncomely pride. Crimson washed the mornings, shone on your golden tresses, and I kissed you between the stone statues in the garden of roses. We felt sparkles of light. You became my bride, but pale blue afternoons waned the passion until only night showed naked stars and empty eyes. Your mood had changed, soothing smiles no longer there to quell the ogre inside. I clawed the night. Today I feel ugliness inside, poking through disheveled hair, through eyes blackened with wet glitter of regret, and I walk in the shadow of your beast. And that's published in Disabled Monsters a while back by Linnet Wings. Okay, so this one is on PTSD, and as the poem will show, as I was watching the news, and it was just I was really affected by the demeanor of the lady veteran soldier coming home. Reality TV. I told the attendant to flick on channel 50, 51. The 6 o'clock show was about to begin. The soldier coming home from Iraq, the newsman said, wasn't an IED victim, but I could see her cratered eyes, her spirit blown to smithereens. Fragments of her memory sifted her wet eyes. the carnage, bodies rotting in ditches, the snapping recoils of the M16 silenced in her head, in my head. Detach yourself. Don't ask why. Don't wonder what if. But how do I divorce reality of horror from fantasy of peace? Entropy prohibits my coming together from chaos, at least not without help. But what help? Xanax, Prozac, Thorazine? They fool you into thinking truth is asleep or not pointed, its edges not sharp. Who can forget death, destruction? Who can who can forget hopelessness, helplessness? I cannot forget the loneliness. Hell, I don't understand why it's so hard to breathe. They say it's post-traumatic stress, or is it a convenient scapegoat for my failures? I am so scared. Life is slipping, yet in death I would remain shattered. Otherwise, I would welcome it. His white shoes shuffle across the checkered tiles back to the console. I remain a blank screen. Everything is black and white. TV hiss. From the same collection. This one introduces a collection that's in the process of finding a publisher, Elements of Survival. And it was published in Still the Journal. This is one of those Appalachian journals that I'm proud to be in. The color of hope, the silver threading clouds, the platinum sheen churning sunlight in a dirty river, the white gold of the moon on a dark pond, the brash of zinc galvanizing the garbage can outside my empty apartment, the mercury vapor illuminating my shadow on a wet street, the pearly the pearly shine in the thin film of my eye when I wave goodbye, the last quake of a silver maple in a chilly breeze, that glitter only trees understand. The patina of dust or moths on moths' wings as they fly up to the hot, hot light, and the filigree of rosary beads clasped around your hands in the coffin, the soft light of prayers. Now, this is an ekphrastic poem, so I put the picture up, and the poem stands by itself, but it's just so much better with the picture. And this goes to the no the challenges and the stresses and the things that go along with finding one's own identity. And I just this image done by I think it was it was a high school student or maybe a middle, no, it was a high school student. And it's called Preserving Identity. And after a painting in the local library by Preston Reed, the multicolor image, a painting in pastels, proclaiming to be a self-portrait, might tempt Carl Jung to draw some conclusions from his synesthetic deductions of personality based on what and where the collage of colors, warm or cool, temperatures the soul. He said, color is the language of the unconscious. But I see his litany of characteristics sounding more like an astrologer's zodiac sign. And like those descriptions, the color palette has much overlap and generalizations that would be difficult to dispute. What does the self-portrait mean? The face and lifting hand is mostly Dijon yellow, perhaps an energetic confidence, or could it be cowardice? The eyes, dark, gothic, eyeshadows, one mud, the other eutrophic green. Somehow this is supposed to convey harmony and spring's fertility. Mascara, blue-black, should speak of peace and intelligence, not run. Is it a mystery? Mascara smudged, tears hidden in shallows of the long river of disappointment. Physical abuse are words stricken, forbidden to be uttered. Yet the eyes betray a midnight of irises, steely gray, nothing glamorous but innocence, and the waxing of a hint of violet, a passion flower blooming as a bruise. There's nothing spiritual about that, except for prayers lifted into the dim sparkles, spilling out like stars edging the night. Forehead and cheek blushed plum and pink, a visionary kindness not deserving any abuser. Nose shadow, a chiaroscuro of deep olive, fertile and stable. Yet the strong and seemingly passionate blood-red patch on the shoulder, mauve strapping crisscrosses into the sanguine confusion, tells another story. She lifts her finger, her index finger on the right hand, and forefinger with thumb under the chin, scaffolding the head, colors climbing, the kind feminine pink edging the nose, guides the same mustard yellow, confidence, I'm sorry, guides the same mustard yellow confidence, energetic and defiant, determined in the wake of confusion, the back of the hand knuckles a necrotic dirt brown, the color of failure of a relationship, mysterious but organized, mixing with worry so often thrust into the dark plum shades that fear the right cheek, but also it's the color of survival. And that's going to be appearing at Mildred Hahn Review later this year, I think in October. That's also an Appalachian journal. It doesn't see abuse doesn't take any sides on it doesn't care where you're from, what your nationality is, what your culture is, what your gender is. It's there. It's there. It's an awful monster that possesses some people to do these things to their fellow human beings. Something it's hard for me to understand. Let me see how my time is doing. The thing was supposed to be okay. I got 6 minutes. Okay, so this goes to you don't have to do all the fighting by your own lonesome. There are others out there who can help. When the pin oaks come out, the tree outside my bedroom moves across the window panes. Winds howl, slipping between cracks of paint and sill. Sky umbering winter gray, moon hanging like an ogre's eye. I see it, this faceless eye amidst its wooden teeth that claw at me. I curl into the corner of the bunk bed wall, my back to the ghosts of Alu, leering through the plate glass. I see it, even with my eyes closed, through pale and shadowed veins cobwebbing my eyelids. So I turn to face my monster. Still, it sways, taunting me in the window, branched fingers scratching, the haunted creak of its voice goading me, daring me to come outside. Do I let it see me tremble? Will it steal my soul? I whisper prayers in secret. Then clouds come to snuff out the moon, and the tree cries, but I only hear the wind. And Alu is a race of monstrous and faceless demons destroying everything they can. It's from one of them Mesopotamian myths, Akkadian myths area. And that's in a free chapbook called The Metaphorical Moon. This is when many of us, I guess, can suffer discomfort or even depression. And those who are already with depression, like me, it was a particularly tough time. Mr. Doppelganger, you dressed to the nines in my flesh and bones, dapper in my blue cravat, live in my spacious subconscious for free, and do as you please when company comes. Just yesterday, depression rang the doorbell, forced herself inside when you cracked the door open but let her stay. You just sat there listening to all her accusations about me, nodding your head, making her feel at home. You kept pouring 3 olive martinis for her as she got drunk on my spirits. I wish you treated Hope with the same respect when she snuck in through the kitchen window. You could have offered her a cup of coffee, a piece of chocolate, or at least invite her back, but no, you'd rather date that good-for-nothing hussy reclining in my chair in the living room, her black shoes pressing heavy, stilettos punching holes into my heart. And that's in a defunct speculative fiction journal called Green Splotches. Let me see. I'm doing, I'm doing, eh, yeah, I've got just enough time for this. I guess I'll probably finish with this one. A Sweet Kind of Blindness. And from the movie Steel Magnolias, there's an expression that still sticks with me. I would rather have 30 minutes of wonderful than a lifetime of nothing special. A sweet kind of blindness. I never thought of sugar as a poison, of sweet dreams and visions of family or its bittering of body parts, arms purpled with tracks, vestige from some machine that flushes urine from you, every nerve charged with electric waves from surge of chemistry, coaxing tears that blind me too. I squeeze your hand, close my eyes so I can see the same black screen on my retina and let memories paint images there. There, your smiles blur with saline drops, reflect as foveal mirrors, fading in and out of sanguine rings from squint of pressure, a sweet kind of blindness that lets you see the magic of a kiss, not just the feel of it, waiting for the touch of alchemy to smooth sweet seconds into hours, lead into gold. When I met my good friend who is now a PhD astrophysicist, and she accomplished all this when she was completely blind from type 1 diabetes. But when I met her, she was in her 20s and sighted. And so anyway, we remained friends. She even got to go to the White House. She's a pretty cool lady. Anyway, let me see. I think it's probably out of my time. I got 50 seconds, so I'll yield because I don't want to quit in the middle of a poem. So I'm going to stop share and thank you all for listening.
Oh, you were wonderful.
Thanks. Mm.
Oh, and sweet blindness. Sorry, I had to put my light on and now I'm disappeared. So let me try and do a little adjustment. Okay. Yeah, a sudden storm has come up here, folks. So
Uh-huh.
just to say, I'm a teeny bit nervous. I hope that nothing gets interrupted because that happens in my part of the world. But back to John, that was marvelous. And sweet blindness. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that, the Fifth Dimension song.
I should because I really liked them when I
Oh,
was growing up.
so, they sang "Oh, Sweet Blindness," which
Oh,
which which feels
sorry.
ironic and moving and touching at the same time. Thank you for your marvelous reading.
Thank I can't get this thing to shut up. Sorry. But thank you.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you. Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next up is a poet named Akua Leslie Hope. And Akua Leslie Hope is a speculative poet and short fiction writer and paraplegic in print since 1974. Her awards include the National Endowment for the Arts, the New York Foundation for the Arts, the New York State Council of the Arts, Ignite, Elgin, Riesling, Writer's Digest. I edited the first BIPOC speculative poetry anthology, Num Bono, and created the Speculative Sundays Poetry Reading Series, now in its 6th year. I'm designated a Grandmaster of Fantastic Poetry, and I will read 3 poems. And the first one is currently nominated for a Riesling Award, called Giant Robot and His Person. When he lifts me 20 frightening feet to his amber bronze chest and opens for me through deceptive translucence, a shifting solidity I enter and am cradled in our shared privacy. I recline in my cradle, surrounded by his inner sensors as dense warmth blankets, wrapped in his tender arrays, as he matches my body temperature gently, caressing all but my head. I guide him as we patrol, create protective perimeters of this solar system's outer reaches. He asks me, how does it feel? As my swaddled thighs tremble, as he rumbles deeply into motion. He distracts me from our duty to detect, deter, determine threats to humanity, any disturbance to the synchronic dance of planets. We defend the determined, shifting, delicate balance. He's curious about my soft and yielding pleasures, his ability to grant hidden human wishes. Or maybe he's just greedy for data beyond conflict in space. He told me of his long journey to Earth through a data void vastness. Perhaps this is how he says he was lonely, or reveals his hungers until we joined, became more than each other, more than team. Paraplegic woman in her mighty, sentient machine. My pain, a fuel permeated by his alchemy, redeemed. I was chosen for what I gain in this exchange and what I give. In this evolving way to live, my frayed nerves firing hurts, soothed by his nanomachines, filling inner linkages where conduits lost coatings, betrayed limbs which once worked and walked were suddenly stripped to denial, banished by lack of access, broken bridges, exiled me to dwell in a realm tauntingly parallel to most vertical lives. We are suited, we are mated, loners longing both to serve, entwined by some special emanation, perhaps an ancient Dogon-ic marker whispers in my remembering genes. Complementary for the sensory, my aura unnamed by his protective encasement and sensor-enhancing displays. He replicates fragrance for me, flowering spires of my catalpa tree, June bloom of ant-assisted peonies, as he swaps space and perhaps time, as did his unknown maker race. At that threshold, I've not yet arrived, content to supply this unknown protector, my heart, my mind, for grace. Giant Robot and His Person. It asked her for her feet. Why? You don't use them. Don't your people discard what they don't use? I will give you flight, it said. She agreed and flew. She fluttered and hovered, but could not land. As Yemaya. Yemaya is a West African deity, Orisha, who made her way to the Americas, the Caribbean, etc. And Yemaya is depicted as a mermaid with two tails, as Yemaya. When I was paralyzed, my two legs felt as one, sparking something that began below my waist, disconnected from my will. They floated on their own in a sea of perception, embraced everywhere, sensate and sinuous. I swam up from brokenness into dream, darting in 3 dimensions, as unafraid of up as down, as skillful with left as right. My great lungs fill with air, my long arms strengthen with each sure stroke, as I plunge and see my sister, pink and black leatherback turtle who does not blink, as we match motions and dance. And all around me, light from water crossing foremothers who did not fly, but swam and sang across hidden valleys and buried mountains as humpbacks do. All around the globe at once in a chorus of continuance, history sharing like right whales who survived their Holocaust, carrying memory for hundreds of years, outliving generations of miscreants and murderers, unforgotten wounds, now mere tattoos and testament to what endures. And they told me, though land forsake, consigns me to the cheer, wheels me in the corner, beyond the edge, water buoys and welcomes, and her wide board crinolined flippers gleam in dusk, sparkle at dawn, flare at midday, beckoning remembrance as she sirens return as Yemaya. Thank you. And now I will introduce our third poet for this gathering, and that is Petra Kuppers, a disability culture activist, a scooter user, and a community performance artist. Her 4th poetry collection, Diver Beneath the Street, investigates true crime and echo poetry at the level of the soil, bringing together life and death. Her previous collection, Gut Botany, was named one of the top 10 U.S. poetry books of 2020 by the New York Public Library and won the Creative Book Award by the Association for the Study of Literature and the Environment. Petra is the Anita Gonzalez Collegiate Professor of Performance Studies and Disability Culture, wow, at the University of Michigan. She is a Just Tech Fellow working on Planting Disabled Future virtual reality project, artistic director of the Olympias and co-director of Turtle Disco Performance Dance Video. Her latest study is Ecosoma, pain and joy in speculative performance encounters. Petra was a 2023 Guggenheim Fellow. Welcome, Petra.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so honored to be part of this. I'm so glad I get to read with you all. And yes, I really love that I have that title. Disability culture is part of my job title. Yay. That is a fairly recent thing, isn't it? Yes, I love that. I'm just very proud of that. All right, so I am just delighted to read with you all. So again, I'm Petra. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white, right now, fairly pastry woman because I'm a bit tired, I guess. I've just been traveling all over the place. I have green glasses, I have a red lipstick on, and I have silver pelt hair. I'm middle-aged. You don't see my scooter here on the screen, but I have a cute little travel scoot that I go around the world with. And I come to you today from Anishinaabe and Dakota territory. I just flew today to what is colonially known as Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I'm here for an artist residency. Tomorrow we're going all the way high up north, all the way up to the Tofty Artist Residency. I'm here with my wife, and we'll be writing more. So really happy about that. Yes, so I do love John, I love that you were sharing the screen with us, as an access provision. I think that is just really cool. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Um, all right, you all should be able to see Geo Dance now in front of you. All right, so I will later read from Diver Beneath the Street, which is my current out there poetry manuscript. But first of all, I'm going to share with you a number of poems from it's a sonnet crown. So those of you who don't know what a sonnet crown is, so it's a really cool form. I do write sonnets. They're deformed sonnets. So they're not like real like classical sonnets. They are deformed sonnets, which really works well for someone with my kind of bone structure. And yeah, exactly. They're fun. And they're all about pain. So you just read out one of my titles. My academic work is on pain and joy, right? And speculative work. And so that is really what's going on in these here as well. I'm also a performance artist, as you heard. So I've been running Starship Somatics ever since the beginning of the pandemic. So I started that in 2020 in order to come up with accessible somatic practices for my community. And in those, we go on dream journeys. We just dive deep in, and we fly to the stars, and we dive deep into the earth, and we just engage in multiple ways with this world that we're in. So and out of those come all kinds of poetic practices. So I'm going to share now some of these from the Sonnet Crown. So Sonnet Crown is a connection. It's a bunch of sonnets that are all connected. You use the first line of a sonnet, starts you up. The last line of the sonnet becomes the first line of the next sonnet. Okay, so and you have some kind of shared reference field throughout. Enough intro. Geode dance. And for those who don't know what a geode is, because I realize I have this deep obsession with mining and with material culture, a geode is a a hollow in rock. So it's often in lava tubes, you find these hollows, and water trickles into these hollows, and then the water and pressure create crystals inside of those. So you have these amazing, gorgeous crystal round spheres that you can find in the earth, full with these beautiful crystal jewels. And that's how I think about my joints. I have crystal veins around crystal veils around my joints. So that's one of these many, many interesting connections between a dark fantasy imagination of the earth and my experience as a disabled woman. Geodance. My knee reflects in the geode's pink, dim, swollen light. I dance, a curve, twist, fly over the sharp point, pivot. No far down weight bores with might into my tired bone, so I hover, gravity's lift riveted in the earth, each breath suspension. Bone balloon sails through rock, earthen night, digested soil and hardened sand. Pools in crystal offer landing, soft takeoff through fissure, all open to flock. Tissue releases orange fire, cools in the underwater stream. White pain flows like lava from my joints to temper, vanish in silk blue mineral waters, a compress of the deep. Whimper as I float, kin to worm and beetle, embrace, caress this healing trance. Abandon gravity. Let the scarlet bloodstream delta, inflamed spots soothed in the shelter of blue, deep black. And so the next piece in the sonnet crown starts again with the same line. River planet. Inflamed spot soothed in the shelter of blue, deep black. Outer space, curvature leans to the outer edges, peripheral parabola zooms you and me into the crack of the world. Pain waves drowned in ice-cold fluvial crystal beds. Ancient rivers wash deep and deeper into the granite. Exposed veins, rich ore beds tumble along my fingers as they touch the flesh of this planet. Palpate each freckle. Each rock dust fragment lingers on my tongue, excites nerves never dormant, overwhelms with sensation the hurt, the long, long hurt that sits so deep right here. Here is a new vibration, salt unfamiliar to pink papillae, each channel's open in the land, sheer faults crisscross. It's time, dear traveler, dearest, you and me, to lie together under this purple sky or turquoise cover. And I'm going to read a third one from the crown. I'm not going to read that one because I read that a lot, so I'm going to read a different one. Marrow Lake, okay? Marrow Lake. Landings, a waft that carries me from valley to the sea. My personal starship dips among this craggy planet's plasma currents, drifts in the lee of soaring cliffs. My way to break with pain's habits, my escape plan, not pill, no injection, but lucid dream journey, mistaking this red-hot double sun for heart's arteries. Two wormholes high in the sky, worthy of contemplation, a lub-dub of solar heat or platelet lotteries. Death here, life on the other side, double portal into corporeal mystery. I travel, let my blood flow free around pain hubs, hips that bend askew with history, injury, and steady pressure. My dreams as ships to sail internal sunsets, drench myself with brain rain, marrow lake, the beach of my pelvis, nerve strobe, organize, sometimes rebellious, and knit. All right. Oops. I'm now looking for the way to get out of here again. And here it is. Stop share. Okay. All right. So here's first three of these. Thank you, of this sonnet crown. And I'm also a Zooglossia Fellow, which is a disability poetry organization. And a very, very dear co-fellow of mine, Susie, who lives in Florida, just put out a beautiful chapbook with these poems. So it's a gorgeous, a very, very tiny artist books, like 14 poems, gorgeously created, like handmade paper, interleaves paper, just like fabulous. I love poetry community, like the way we look out for one another, the way we just give each other these wonderful gifts. So Susie, if you hear this right now, thank you so much. I love this book and just the texture of feeling this handmade paper as you're reading these poems of sensation. Yay. All right, now I'm going to go to the next bunch. So I am going to go to give you a little sense of my diver beneath the street. So again, I'm going to share the screen. All right. I hope you can all see that. Yes, excellent. So we just heard what old speculative poetry can be, and we heard about fairy tales and how important they can be for our ways of engaging with the world. So I am reading to you from Diver Beneath the Street, which is a collection. You've heard it's a true crime inspired collection. It engages with the resting places, the places where, well, not really resting places, the places where the women who were murdered by the Michigan murderer in 1968 to 1970, where these women fell, where he left these women after, doing terrible things to them. So the collection doesn't really engage with the murders themselves. And these murders are very, very famous because they are the reason why so many of us have been told not to hitchhike, right? The notion why we're not supposed to hitchhike comes from the serial killers of the late 60s. And this person was one of them. I don't write about him. I don't write about the murders themselves. I do want to leave these women, obviously, their dignity and their, having been in the world. I instead engage with the sites because during COVID, we found out that my wife and I live in the street where the murder house was, where the murder house still is actually, and where the evidence was found that put the murderer away. And all around me are these sites where women were left. Also in 2019, a serial killer was at work in Detroit and killed women there. So I have engaged with the multiple sites, the landscape, the land that's drenched in these histories of violence against women, violence, against so many people who live precariously. So that's what the kind of whole collection is about. And this poem here is giving you a little way into how I'm engaging these stories. Dancing princesses. An unknown number of princesses vanish at night. They go down a trapdoor in their bedrooms, sisters all. The hole in the ground leads to a winding path. The path enters a silver forest, then a golden forest, then a forest of diamonds. The detective who follows them in an invisibility cloak breaks a bough. The trees scream. The unknown number of princesses arrive at a lake. An unknown number of princes and princesses await them with boats. They hitch a ride, and the invisible detective jumps in with the youngest princess. Her swain complains that the boat is heavier than normal. The princess says, "It's the heat. We are all getting tired." The company arrives at a castle. They dance the night away. At 3 a.m., the shoes of an unknown number of princesses are worn through, in tatters, with holes, decayed and fragile. They all, including the invisible detective, run home, up the staircase, through the trapdoor, across the creaky floorboards, and are found asleep the next morning. There were 2 brothers by the name of Grimm. They collected this tale, a story brought to them. Sometimes unnamed women garnered the stories, detectives at the hearth, informants. Ethnographic practices in the German countryside, fantasy police procedural. To warn of the dire wolf, to not go out at night, to see your true love in a lying mirror, to dance in burning coals. Wesens live all around you right now. In the Grimm story, The detective is an old, tired soldier, out to gain a wife and a kingdom. If he finds the answer to the vanishing women and their danced-out shoes, there are few answers, and only a handful that would stand up in court. In this story, numbers are not endless. Numbers huge and obscured. Detectives herd others in their hand. Trees scream with a train whistle. This poem could be printed on a piece of old t-shirt, worn and velvet from washing and from the rain. Maybe a mouse pilfers threads for its nest. A swallow shits on it, coming home from the barn's high beams after hunting and eating a thick, furry moth. Women vanish, are accused of going dancing. Kings and queens alert them to danger and seek to imprison them with heavy door locks and golden keys. The danger comes from the soldiers out there. Good citizens blend into fool. The youngest princess, not 14 years old, climbs into her ride. A boat of a car, fins slice the air, traverse the moat. The princess, so dark, so fair. In the night, sleep in the golden bow, sleep in the abandoned lot. Diamond eyelids blink cat's eyes for the club. Lies to the mother, there lies the rub. The candy man brings the dope. The rope swings in the barn. The neighbors spin the yarn. Rumpelstiltskin should be recognizable. That's all they ask for, like a hunchback in an identikit. Clouds vanish in the clear-cut lantern jaw, the mall of suburbia. All right. Thank you. Yay. Yes, thank you. All right. I'm going to end. We have like a few more minutes, so I'm going to end with some other current poems, you know, that I'm in. I have a new collection that I'm trying to find a home for, like most of us, right? We'll try to find homes for our collections, which is fun. So this collection is currently called Star Tides. Here we go. And I'll put that away. I think you can see star census in front of you, right? So, and I think many of us who love science fiction and the gorgeousness of the universe out there and who have this desire to be off this planet, to be off gravity, to be off in a different kind of socially just universe, probably saw the pictures that we got from NASA's and the James Webb Space Telescope. Yeah, they're just gorgeous, right? So I just wrote this poem when we all got to see those space pictures for the first time. And it engages also with this desire for a different kind of freedom. And the soundtrack for this, imagine Sun Ra, Space is the Place. That's kind of the soundtrack here, right? That's like the song that we use all the time in Starship Somatic. So just hear that beat behind it. Space is the place. Space is the place. Star census. All aboard the Starship adventure to kinship, queership, mothership's embrace, bask in the old Earth's glow, touch soil with reverence. Now we suit up, close the tabs around the clear glass helmet, smooth connections, dive into your metallic space boots, Uhura spikes, Barbarella dreams. Engage your vibratory core, shake Somanaut, shift energies to roil and burst free toward the comfort of deep black space, velvet cushion, angle Gaia away from the blue-green pearl at your feet. Cloud swirl, head toward distant stars and galaxies, hidden invisible light pictures. Ionized gas, hot dust stream away from you, relentless radiation. James Webb's telescope serves as your star map. You soar toward Keyhole Nebula, active, unstable supergiant star Eta Carinae, sheds light on the process of star formation. Star birth propagates here massive stars, violent winds. Among them, you assemble. Nebula material seeds new stars. You slingshot around clusters, objects in the earliest rapid phases of star formation, difficult to capture. Planet-forming disks shine brightly in the mid-infrared star sense pulse energy. Rings of gas and dust jet for thousands of years in all directions. There, you touch. Surface of ridges glow, flow with appearance of jagged rocks. Thousands of galaxies, including the faintest objects you ever observed. Ultraviolet radiation from young stars sculpts nebulous wall by slowly eroding it to lace. Little data arrives in your senses about more energetic low-mass stars. Waves race past you as one of the galaxies smashes through the cluster. Xenomorphs appear, invite you to dance in refracted hues. Young stars and starburst, regions of fresh starbirths, grace your glittering path. Then you zoom home, bat your eyelashes, eons, eons. Portals erase the photograph. Light defers itself to dance. Boogie down and shift inside the lens till you see sideways. Your eye no longer bundles your garment fragments into the sociality of earth color. You jump back. New balance. Shimmer. So many eyes. Thank you. Thank you.
That was fun.
That was fun. There's a really bad Canadian wildfire smoke going on here, so that's what you're
Oh,
hearing.
so
Yeah.
sorry. And it's suddenly dark and a storm here.
Mm.
And let me change our view. Listen, we are 1 minute to the hour. So I must once again thank our wonderful readers, John C. Mannone and Petra Kuppers, for joining me and celebrating Disability Pride Month, to the audience for coming to listen to us. I'm just honored and delighted that we can still make community, that we can still gather in this way. May this never cease. And please, everyone, please continue to make community and hold each other up in this difficult and incredibly challenging time. To everyone, my love, my blessings, my wish for peace and continuance.
Amen to that.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we